What's good? What's good? Welcome to Trey's Age 25 to 29. The vibe is housing. This event is scheduled for November 23rd, 2024, which is actually tomorrow. But I'm posting the summary of the event due to the cancellation because I want to give housing tips to 25 to 29-year-olds. I'm going to tell you straight up housing at that age, 25 to 29, is a blessing. Okay. Having a place where you can be yourself, that's most important when it comes to housing is a place where you can be yourself. Sometimes it's hard for the adults who gave you housing or who provided housing for you when you were a child to accept you as the adult you are becoming and the adult you want to become and the adult you have become. A lot of times as children, we heavily disagree with the way people keep us as a child, the way they allow us to express ourselves, the things they allow us to show interest in, the things they try to teach us to avoid that we really shouldn't avoid, that it's a part of our life journey. That we're supposed to become comfortable with some things. We're supposed to have an appetite for some things, whereas other people do not. Okay, one thing I have always encouraged people to do is to tough it out from 18 to 24. Go to college, make some friends, really get out of the house. I know it sounds more mannish, but go ahead and say I'm done with my childhood right here. I'm done with being a child right here. I'm going to learn how to get my own things. I don't push everybody to college, okay? I'm getting away from that teaching. That was a knowledge I had at that time, the understanding I had at that time. That going to college was a wise thing. It's good to go ahead and grind to make room for God to give you your own four walls. Now, from 18 to 22, I lived on a college campus. I also was homeless at times. I lived with a couple relatives while building my business. I was grinding so that I had my own. I can't say that from 18 to 22, I just focused on getting an education. I always focused on getting my own housing, transportation, having my own source of income, not working a job. I really focused on becoming more of myself, being true to myself, and avoiding roadblocks and opinions and judgmental perspectives that would keep me from answering the call of God on my life and sanctifying myself in my prophetic purpose. I've always walked with God from 18 to 27. I've always dwelt with the Lord very closely, allow Him to order my steps. Now, the moments when I didn't have the housing that I wanted to have as an adult were the moments when I really became content in a small place. I learned how to be faithful over a few things in a small place. I learned how to adjust when necessary. If I was staying in a hotel because I had a speaking engagement, so be it. Or if I had to travel to see a relative and I had to stay on the couch or the guest room, so be it. I really didn't make housing a big priority because I knew that me learning how to get my own income was more important than me having my own four walls. Excuse me. Now that I've grown in my understanding of um, really what life is supposed to be like according to the New Testament, of going after new knowledge, new wisdom, new understanding, especially spiritual knowledge, spiritual wisdom, and spiritual understanding. I truly believe that housing is supposed to be shared. Now, when I did finally get housing coming out of college from 22 to 24, I shared my housing. I did Kingdom of Heaven ministry work. I had a heart posture toward doing the will of the Lord, and that's what kept me. Okay, I stayed in that apartment for 2 years in Northern Virginia, a luxury apartment, had a pool, basketball court, a gym, plenty of parking, garage parking. Um, it was very hospitable, very luxurious, very much within my price range and my budget at that time based on how I was building the company. Now, I enjoyed the housing option that was available for me based on my credit score and everything else. I enjoyed living there. Did I have it fully furnished? No. But it was a test of my faith where I did learn that God will provide housing for me and that housing that He placed me in a city, He gave me housing, He gave me transportation according to my faith, and I did His will. And He called me to exit as a prophet. I learned then that housing can be temporary. And so I've been homeless for 3 years, 24 to 27. And just recently, God gave me housing again. And this time I have actually a row home. Okay. I actually have housing. And once again, I'm sharing my housing. Not because I want to cut my bills down. I'm scared I'm not going to be able to meet the expenses. No. In my own wisdom and my judgment, understanding of life, I've learned that housing is simply temporary. Now, I do also have a brick and mortar business that is within walking distance of where I have housing. Where that right there, I don't share. That's actually mine. So there's a compromise I have in my late 20s. I'm 27 now where, yeah, I don't mind sharing housing. I don't mind growing with Kingdom Heaven Ministers within the four walls in which I call home, because in the city in which I live in now, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, I work quite a bit. Okay, I work a lot, and I'm learning how to do brick and mortar work, or some people say retail work, or uh, in-house establishment work. I have a business address. Learning how to do work right there around the clock throughout the week, almost 7 days a week. So I'm comfortable with sharing my housing, knowing that within the design of the physical location for my business, Trey G Creates, I have an office where it's almost like my own bedroom, and I don't have to worry about sharing housing at all. Or I guess being up late working on something. Like, I have a workplace, and a part of the workplace I can turn it into, this is a place where I sleep, eat, and shower. You know what I'm saying? And I also have the business set up so that it can accommodate people beyond traditional business hours. So my thing is, usually what adults do is they think white. They usually go, let me go get possessions and let me make my status and my image in that. No, I don't mind being black and kind of cutting my expenses and being wise and opening up my home to the Lord, as the scripture says, and allowing Kingdom of Heaven ministers to grow right there. Um, and providing housing to others based on um, my faith and my Kingdom of Heaven ministry work according to the judgment of God and the Father. I don't mind doing that, and they have grace with their kids. There are other people pitching in with the kids and stuff. Because I'm 27 years old, so yes, there's a high chance people have kids. I don't mind being a bridge on like heavy life responsibilities while you're trying to go grow as a prophet or a Kingdom of Heaven minister. You might be trying to go to school. You have kids, and your parents and your elders and your siblings, they just aren't lifting any burdens for you. I don't mind being of help right there. But when it comes to my business, I need my space. So I have learned throughout my 20s and my adulthood how to circumnavigate this need for uh, God to be able to move in my housing, for me to not just possess the housing, but for me to open it up for ministerial purposes, so that others can grow. And then also for me to really have a place where my business flourishes and I work late hours and I put in the time and everything gets done, everybody's needs are met, and people have help with their kids. That's sometimes a huge challenge for women, especially single mothers in their late 20s, to have help with their kids in their personal life, their everyday basis, so that they can actually run a business or build a business. So I don't mind being of help right there. I always found that to be helpful. Now I will say, because I'm outgrowing this American norm or capitalistic traditional mindset where as I get older I need more space. No, as I get older, my kids get older, because I am a parent to um, the co-ministers I share housing and stuff with. My kids get older. I really don't need more space. My house is really being built through my business location, my business address. So, um, we'll figure out how to repurpose it. I'm glad that we have the abundance we have now, and we're very blessed, and we should repurpose it and purpose it the way we need to for Kingdom of Heaven ministry work, and God will endow us with more in His timing. So I'm just more grateful for learning how to be faithful of a few things than to be worried about trying to get the new thing and trying to prove myself to keep up with you based on that. I've never found a reason to flash my housing or my transportation in anyone's face. I just use it as an asset, just like money, and a tool to get my ministry work done. And that's it, to maintain my businesses. Here are some tips for 25 to 29. The vibe is housing. According to the New Testament, ministers are supposed to share housing. You should be more focused on maintaining ministerial relationships and continuing the ministry of Christ than living by yourself. Once again, you should be more focused on maintaining ministerial relationships excuse me, and continuing the ministry of Christ than living by yourself. Putting money and status and fame and all this other stuff before getting to know somebody, it's a dangerous way to separate yourself from people who could really be a blessing to you. Humble yourself, be meek in spirit, think less of yourself, and let God allow you to have friendships and relationships as you grow older. And it takes decades to build them, okay? So don't think you're better than someone because you have a little bit more of the natural things than them. You don't know where people are spiritually abundant and where they're not. Number two, excuse me. The Lord has asked me to share my housing in Woodbridge, Virginia, and Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, with other Kingdom of Heaven ministers. Number three, he was more concerned about them growing as prophets than getting money. Number four, I encourage you to avoid chasing money as a Kingdom of Heaven minister. Learn how to live by the New Testament. Recently, God gave me an order and a command. He simply said, "Don't chase money." So I've been living by faith, and it's been a blessing to me, a blessing to others, a blessing to my ministry within the kingdom. Once again, learn how to live by the New Testament. You got to study it. You got to read it in order to be able to do it. Number five, eternal living gives you an advantage over unbelievers. You are supposed to know how to live by faith and not sight. Eternal living gives you an advantage over unbelievers. Meaning that from within, you really can do what you're supposed to do for God, and you'll be blessed based on your faithfulness. Number six, housing miracles take place at a faster rate when you have a vision, faith, and patience. So it's better to become more progressive in the things of the spirit, vision, faith, patience, your application thereof, than to have an abundance in the natural and not know anything about the spirit, not understand anything about the spirit, not be able to minister in Christ at all. Okay, you're living wrong, thinking wrong, doing wrong. Christ should come first, and I promise you everything else will fall into place. God is interested in blessing you according to your faithfulness. Okay, once again, the spirit comes first. God is interested in blessing you according to your faithfulness. You should avoid obtaining status symbols. Don't look for luxury, baby. Just be faithful. Okay, my housing lessons from 2021 to 2024. Minister the kingdom of heaven until you get rewarded according to your faith. Grow your faith and then, excuse me, grow your faith and literally watch God have his hand on your life in such a dramatic way, in a drastic way, that it really, really requires you to be okay with not having money. Okay, you have faith and you can take your faith places that you cannot go with money. Like you're going to run out of money, but hey, the more faith you have, there's a lower chance of you running out of faith. I love you. My name's Trey. Have a good night.